Full-hour conversation tonight about the end of days, and I encourage you to listen and read Dead Heat by Joel Rosenberg. Joel is my guest for the full hour. I just want to go through a laundry list of a couple of things. First of all, Putin, is it possible he's Gog?
It's possible. Okay. Ezekiel 38 says that a dictator with an evil intent will rise to power in Russia and form military alliances all throughout the Middle East. That's certainly what Putin is doing. Is he Gog? Too early to say. He's certainly Gog-esque.
Okay, Gog-esque. Oh, very nice. But we do know that it's very specific that Russia and Iran are supposed to have ties.
Absolutely.
And that's never happened before.
In 2,500 years since the prophecy was written, Russia and Iran have never had an alliance until today.
Okay. And then also, there's prophecy about Russia and Libya.
Absolutely. And the same Ezekiel 38. And that's right. Russia had an alliance with Libya in the 70s and 80s, but that was disbanded. But now Vladimir Putin has just literally visited Libya just last week, and in April of 2008, to sign a multi-billion-dollar arms deal.
Okay. I remember when I was a kid, and, we'd read the Bible, and we'd talk about the different, prophecies in it, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember very clearly, cashless society. That you'd be numbered and chipped and everything else. I actually spoke to one of the guys who helped develop the chips, and he was fine with it, and it was for tracking dogs and everything else. When he got to the point to where they were thinking, hey, this will be good to put in the hand of somebody to be able to track your children so they can't be kidnapped, and oh my gosh, we can put it with the RFID so you can go in and buy stuff. When he started telling me this story, he broke down in tears and he said, I quit that day because I knew what I was, it's not saying that this is what the technology is used for today, but it is appearing to be the technology that has been predicted for thousands of years. What are the other things that you see that we thought were insane when we were growing up that are starting to happen?
Well, one of them is global satellite television technology. There are several places in the Bible. One is in Ezekiel 38. The other place is in Revelation, where the Bible says certain events, very specifically defined events, will be seen by the whole world. Well, that was not possible 2,500 years ago. It wasn't possible 50 years ago. Now, with global satellite television technology, you could watch an event like a war with Israel, or you could watch two people being slaughtered in Jerusalem, as Revelation describes, and the whole world could be watching simultaneously. That's never happened. So that's just another example.
Does it concern you at all? We only have 45 seconds. Does it concern you at all that the third temple is really ready? I mean, most of it is sitting in a warehouse. I mean, they got everything ready to go.
The architectural plans are done. The clothes for the priests are being sewn. All the implements for the temple sacrifice are being done. Being built.
The red heifer is this true? That the red heifer, they have to make the ashes of blah, 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 of a red heifer, couldn't find a red heifer, and now they're just being born all over.
Well, they're actually being genetically engineered right now because you need an absolutely perfect one. One was born a few years ago called Melody. She turned out to have a few hairs that were flawed, and so they said, oh, that's not the one. A perfect one has to be born, and then once that happens, it will be sacrificed, and the temple will be ready to be built.
But not born yet.
Apparently not.
Battle futures. More in just a second. Welcome back. I am joined by the author of a fantastic novel. It's called Dead Heat. Joel Rosenberg writes about the kind of stuff that, that I happen to watch for, and makes me the mayor of Crazy Town, but I think it makes him the president of Crazy USA. The current chaos in the Middle East and the world. Let's just kind of try to cover as many things as we can. First of all, Iraq. Everybody is covering the bad news in Iraq. You say Iraq, and this isn't political speak, you're saying that Bible prophecy says Iraq's going to get very, very good.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I just spent 9 days in Iraq about a month ago. We traveled through 5 provinces without armed guards, without armored personnel carriers, without Apache helicopters. You can drive around in Iraq. You need some interpreters. Things are getting better there. The Bible says that Iraq, which was known in the Bible days as Babylon, will not only emerge in the last days, it will emerge as the wealthiest, most peaceful, most powerful nation on the face of the planet. So the question is, how do we get from the chaos that there has been over the last few years to the wealthiest country on the planet in the last days. Something must get better. So I'm saying that all the naysayers who are saying we cannot win, apparently we do win. And by the way, I think we are winning. The problem is if we pull out too quickly, there could be a disaster. But I think we're heading in the right direction, and we can have confidence that it gets better.
You know, I don't know. You may have convinced me that maybe I'm all of a sudden for a quick pullout. If it has to get better before everything comes, I mean, maybe.
Well, then, of course, to be clear and full disclosure, Babylon then becomes the center of the Antichrist in the end. So it gets better, and then it gets much, much worse. So, so people ask me, are we making Iraq safe for the Antichrist or safe for democracy? And it's a little bit of both.
That's the interesting thing about your book when I read it. It is such a different look at Iraq. I mean, you at one point in your book you explain in one way why we're not ever mentioned as a country or a force at all in end times prophecy. And it's because America is taken out, and New York and several other cities are vaporized. But
we don't know that biblically for sure.
No.
The novel looks at what could happen.
Yeah, I
but
understand.
The United States clearly isn't in end times prophecy.
You were just trying to take us out. You were in the book. You were I mean, in the book you were trying to explain
I'm trying to look
why
at a
we're
scenario
not.
why we're not there.
Correct. Yeah.